The weather's about to change a ton over the next few days, as we are expecting multiple big storm systems to roll over the Rocky Mountains and bring the return of showers, thunderstorms, and even severe weather to areas like the Great Plains all the way through the East Coast. The temperatures are also going to fluctuate a ton over the next 7 days, and hurricane season is quickly waking up in the Atlantic Ocean as we now have Tropical Storm Gabrielle and more tropical storms appear likely before the end of September, one of which may even develop in the Caribbean or the Gulf. So in today's forecast, we're going to break down exactly what you need to know about the weather that'll be impacting the United States over the next 7 days. And we'll begin with what's happening across the country today. And right now, we actually have a storm system that is currently moving across the Midwest this morning. This is a remnant mesoscale convective vortex. It's basically an area of broad spin. It's basically a weaker and low pressure system that is currently moving to the east. This will continue to bring showers and even some thunderstorms throughout the day today to the Midwest and also through the mid-Mississippi River Valley. And on the back side of this, we are actually keeping an eye on the potential for severe weather later today in Kansas and Nebraska, where damaging winds, large hail, and even a couple of tornadoes are going to be a possibility. Additionally, there is a ton of moisture right now along the West Coast and in the Four Corner states. This is actually from the remnants of Tropical Storm Mario that occurred in the Pacific Ocean just a few days ago. So we're going to continue to see some rainfall and even some flooding in some areas like New Mexico, California, and Arizona. And then along the East Coast, most areas are very quiet and dry right now. The only exception is southern Florida, where some heavy rainfall will continue for the next few days. Now, our weather is going to take a pretty big turn over the next few days, as we are expecting multiple storm systems to move over the Rockies, which will bring the return of an active weather pattern as we go into this weekend and also into the work week. So let's talk more about that by looking at our jet stream and our mid-level flow. This is what it looks like right now. We do have a little low pressure system in the upper levels that is currently sitting over the upper Midwest and also in the northern plains. This is going to bring some isolated severe weather today and scattered showers and thunderstorms today and tomorrow to a vast majority of the Midwest, also through the central plains. As we go into this weekend, we're going to see that little low pressure system weaken as it moves over the Great Lakes. But look at this right behind it. We got two low pressure systems that are going to be sitting, one of which off the coast of California and then another one over Wyoming. And these are both going to bring the potential for a lot of moisture, which essentially means we're going to see a lot of showers and thunderstorms throughout the week as far south and west as California and also as far east as the East Coast. So as we go into Tuesday and Wednesday, we're going to see that first low pressure system move over the central plains. Right now, it does not look to be intense enough to bring any sort of widespread severe weather event, but I would anticipate at least 1 or 2 days of isolated to scattered severe storms across parts of the central and southern plains and also the Midwest. And then by the middle and end of the week, another low pressure system may form right over the Northeast. So we could legitimately have as many as 3 to 4 low pressure systems in the United States by Thursday, which is basically going to bring this big train of showers and thunderstorms, and a lot of moisture is going to be associated with all of this. So a very wet and active weather pattern looks likely throughout the middle of the work week, and then eventually by the weekend we'll likely continue to see an active weather pattern, especially along the East Coast. And then eventually, as we go into the last couple of days of September, things become more uncertain, but I would anticipate that we're going to see a pretty active weather pattern here for the end of September. And then as we go into October, we don't know what's going to happen, but I would expect it's going to continue to stay pretty active. And I honestly think at some point in the next couple weeks, maybe the next 3 weeks, we're going to see one big severe weather event, something that we haven't really seen much of over the last few months. Maybe some sort of enhanced risk of severe weather could be in play at some point in the next few weeks. It is typically that time of the year where we start to kick into second severe weather season, so just keep that in mind. Now, we are going to talk more about where exactly we can expect severe weather with the future radar in just a moment, but before we do that, I do want to talk about our temperatures for the next 7 days. Right now, we have above average temperatures from the Great Lakes back into the southern plains and also across the Pacific Northwest. A little bit of cooler weather coming out of Canada right now across New England. That is from an intense low pressure system just east of Nova Scotia. As we go into early next week, we're going to really see the return of very warm weather, especially in the Great Plains, where we can expect temperatures to be as high as the 80s, 90s, and even low 100s at times. Very strong southerly pull as well. We'll help to pull moisture out of the Gulf, and this could bring the return again of some severe weather Monday and Tuesday. Eventually, as we go into the middle and end of the week, we're going to get a little backdoor cold front back over here in the Midwest and also across the Great Lakes, where temperatures at nighttime could fall into the 30s and 40s in some spots. So definitely cooler weather for this time of the year. And then eventually, as we get closer to next weekend, things become a little bit more uncertain, but that little backdoor cold front that'll be happening during the middle of the week could actually push that cold weather all the way down into the central and southern plains and even into the mid-Atlantic, so some nice weather could be on the horizon, or at least some relief to that summer heat. Now, these are the actual temperatures for the next few days, beginning with today. High temperatures from Michigan are as high as the 80s, also into Texas as high as 100 degrees. But look at this in the northern plains and the upper Midwest, only in the 50s for high temperatures today. As we go into Saturday, Sunday, into Monday, it's going to be pretty much the same across the board. Really, the big changes will come after Tuesday. We'll see really warm weather for the Gulf Coast states, including most of North Texas, reaching the 100s again. But that backdoor cold front will really kick in as we go into Wednesday. Temperatures are going to fall quite a bit across the Great Lakes, the Midwest, and across the Northeast. Most areas falling into the 40s for low temperatures. Even some upper 30s are going to be a possibility on Thursday morning. And then eventually by Friday and Saturday, that cold air will linger across the Northeast and the Midwest. This is not as cold as what we had to begin September, but it's definitely nice weather, and it's kind of going to give you that early feeling of fall, and you might even see some leaves falling as well with this cold weather coming in. Now let's dive into the future radar and go into detail about what we can expect for the next 7 to 10 days across the country. Today we're expecting scattered showers and thunderstorms from the Midwest back into the Central Plains, also some showers and storms across the desert Southwest. On Sunday and Monday, we'll continue to see these pop-up showers and thunderstorms across a large chunk of the country. There's a lot of ascent, which basically means a lot of rising motion, which is going to help to promote showers and storms. Also tons of moisture out there, so that's going to help as well. On Monday and Tuesdays, when we could have some more organized threats of showers and storms and maybe even some severe weather. Tuesday is going to be one of the days to watch for, but this is Monday night. We'll have a low pressure system moving across the Rockies. I don't really anticipate a whole lot of severe weather Monday, but Tuesday, if this trough can stay organized, we could see at least isolated, if not scattered, severe weather from Missouri back into Texas, with damaging wind tail and a very low tornado risk existing. While that's happening, another sub-little shortwave trough could also be occurring back over near Pennsylvania, which could bring also isolated severe weather to the mid-Atlantic. And then by Wednesday and Thursday, those showers and storms will mainly continue south of Michigan and the Great Lakes as high pressure is going to build off to the north. So moisture will continue to train across the southern plains in the southeast by Thursday. And then by Friday into Saturday, we'll continue to see showers and storms near the Gulf Coast states. And then beyond that, things become more uncertain. But I would anticipate that our weather pattern will still remain somewhat active as we go into the beginning of October. And believe it or not, we do have a risk of severe weather today across the Central Plains, mainly for central Kansas and southern parts of Nebraska, or isolated damaging winds, large hail, and an isolated tornado or two are going to be a possibility. Main locations included in that 2% tornado risk do include North Platte and just east of Goodland, Kansas. So here's the timing for severe weather today. We're expecting some scattered showers out there during the morning hours across Nebraska. Storms will begin to fire right around 4 to 5 o'clock in far northern Kansas and southern Nebraska, where the biggest concern again will be hail and wind. But a tornado or two cannot be ruled out in this particular environment. We'll have a decent amount of wind shear in a very localized environment, so there could be a spin-up tornado out there. But overall, I think the risk of tornadoes and really any threat of severe weather should stay on the low side of things. Things will be winding down by sunset, so this will be mainly between 4 and 8 o'clock today. Lastly, the tropics are heating up again in the Atlantic Ocean. It has been a very quiet hurricane season thus far. However, we do now have Tropical Storm Gabrielle, which is currently northeast of the Lesser Antilles. The good news, this will not be impacting the United States. The bad news, it could actually make a close approach to Bermuda as we go into early next week, and there could be some impacts there, perhaps even a hurricane by that point. There's also another area of development right behind that, and I'm also keeping an eye over here in the Caribbean and the Gulf. I have a sneaking suspicion that by around the very tail end of this month, we may see a little CAG storm basically form, which is around the Central American gyre here. If something were to form, it's kind of similar to what we saw last year with Helene. It could kind of turn off to the north, and with the environment that we have, as long as there's not a whole lot of wind shear, we could see something explosive develop. Now, I'm not saying that's definitely going to happen, but it is something we'll be keeping an eye on for the next week or two, as there are some signs that something could form with more ascent in this region. And this is a closer view of Tropical Storm Gabrielle. Explosive convection now near the eye of this particular tropical storm. This is going to be on its way to becoming a hurricane more than likely by Sunday as it moves towards Bermuda. And this is the forecast from the National Hurricane Center. This will continue to track to the northwest over the next few days. We'll be approaching Bermuda late Sunday into early Monday. Would anticipate some storm surge near Bermuda, but aside from that, I'm not expecting many impacts there. It should just stay off to the east, but this is nothing like what we saw with Aaron. It will not be making that close of approach to the Bahamas or even the United States, which is great news. And as always, thank you all so much for watching today's forecast. If you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe down below. There are some big things coming to the channel here over the next few months, especially to live streams. We have a lot of upgrades coming, and I'm very excited for that. We even have some other exciting news coming very soon, so make sure that you're subscribed to the channel, and if you are a member of the channel, you will hear early stuff about some of the upgrades that are coming. We've been putting a ton of time into upgrading stuff behind the scenes as the weather's been very quiet over the last couple of months. We've only had a couple of live streams within the last 45 days, and as long as the weather stays quiet, we'll continue to do these upgrades, but you should see them in a future live stream very soon, so stay tuned, and we'll have another video more than likely on Sunday, if not on Monday.